BPod Studios.
It's the all-new Dodger and Hardy.
Whatever, man.
On 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Fred, hello. Hello.
Human feces, urine, and debris.
Ta-da. Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Jackpot.
Hello. Hello.
I'm John Wallach on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
How do you like that?
Hello. Welcome to the show.
How humiliating.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. We are Dutcher and Hardy. Hardy's not here today. Ryan Johnston is in, which slides John over to an unfamiliar chair. And we are brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. You can watch us on Twitch at twitch.tv. You can call us 617-779-0985. We're in the Town Fair Tire Studios. It's an exciting time to be alive because Disney on Ice is at the Garden this weekend.
Fascinating.
So if you were looking to something to do this weekend, BC, I was just looking for anything. I need something to do on Saturday, and BC basketball doesn't play again until home at 9 o'clock on Wednesday.
Yeah, we were looking too. Same thing.
Yeah, there's like nothing.
Right.
Unless you like the Robert Cray band. He's still alive.
Robert Cray is still alive.
Robert Cray is still alive. Blues guitarist Robert Cray.
Smoking gun, that Robert Cray? Wow.
There was if you want to know how old we are.
Oh, my God.
Robert Cray was played on MTV Music Television. This isn't some rant about them not playing music anymore. This is that when they were playing music, they played Smoking Gun by Robert Cray.
Oh, man.
A full-on blues guitar player.
He had there was 18 months where he was the guy, if that, and then he disappeared.
Yeah, and he is, because I went to Polestar just to see what was going on this weekend, to see if I was, and I saw Portugal the Man's coming to play, and you know my feelings on them. Hatred.
Okay.
They're the band that has the song that does the Mr. Sandman or Mr. Postman part. Yeah.
They rip off that. Wait a minute, Mr. Post.
Oh, yeah, okay. It drives me insane. And I wonder if they waited around for that to become public domain, because there comes a point with songs where they become public domain. The people that wrote them don't have the rights to them anymore.
50
so
years
they can't sue you anymore?
Right. Yeah, so Mickey Mouse, for instance, I think this year becomes public domain.
It is now public domain.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's 100 years, which is ridiculous. I just, it doesn't matter anymore that you invented something. It just is for everyone at that point.
Just it's a round number, but it's a random number. Why 100? Why not 75 or 200?
Yeah, and when did they? Is it based on lifespan? Yeah, I know. It just seems. Well, it doesn't matter anymore that you invented it. So if you're like the Disney corporate, yeah, this is Portugal the Man.
Okay, all right, I know this. Okay,
yeah, the guy sings in the falsetto. It's incredibly annoying.
Jesus, how many people show up for this? Is this the song?
I don't know. This would be Nick. This is a band.
I think this is Nick's favorite band.
But Nick is so sensitive. He's very sensitive.
Did you just see the reaction?
Yeah, I know. Jesus Christ. He just asked if you were a favorite. Well, did you see him on Slack? He was all defensive on Slack, too. Machi. You need to calm down in that chair. You're getting too crazy. You should have seen Nick. Dan goes, I think this is Nick's favorite band. And Nick, got very upset.
He almost came at me. He almost jumped out of the chair. And,
oh, my God. Yeah. I mean, the pressure on him is wielding in that chair because he's in Mike's chair because Mike
has a
is
very
out.
ironic mustache too in the band, so that's why Nick likes them.
Well, they're from Alaska, so you have to excuse. You'll have to excuse all their. Because I don't know if I ever told you guys this, but a good friend of mine. He was my best friend in elementary school. He moved to the D.C. area. His father was a professor at Gallaudet University.
Yes.
He was deaf. Mm-hmm. So that just shows you how caring I am, that my best friend in elementary school, his parents were deaf, which was a whole thing. But he would go down to play in Virginia. He was in a band, and he would go and play in Virginia, and he was like, they're like at least 10 years behind. Like, they're still wearing Michael Jackson gloves. And this was like in the 90s. Okay. He's like the time has, I don't know with the internet if it's any different, but if you watch Teen Mom, not really. But the like, it's like time doesn't matter. So the ironic mustache, I had a mustache in 2007 when we were up here.
I've seen the pictures, yes. So
you figure 2007, say he had the mustache in 2022, that fits 15 years. But between the advent of the return of the mustache to when the guy from Portugal, the man, has it, because they're from Alaska. So yeah, my good friend, my best friend in elementary school was the guy I dressed like the Blues Brothers with on Fridays. His parents were deaf, and the big thing is when you were sleeping over at his house, we would get rambunctious. But they could feel the vibrations
of you thundering across the floor.
Just like of our voices, they could feel the vibrations. It would wake them up from sleep.
That's really freaky.
Yeah, it would wake them up from sleep. No, what was freaky is that he'd go, "Do you want to go to the movies?" And you go, "Yeah," and then you'd end up like 30 miles away with no way to contact his father. That was what was freaky. This was before, obviously, text messaging. There was having a best friend with deaf parents was an adventure when his parents were driving. Because what would happen is that when you called their house, if him and his sister didn't answer, it was this like series of beeps. Because they had this machine where, God, I'm old. They had this machine where you would pick up the handset to the phone, and then you would have to put the phone on this device, and there was a typewriter attached to it, like a. Remember the old AP like things?
Yeah, with the ticker tape. Yeah.
Like a teletype.
Like a teletype thing. Yeah, teletype. That's exactly what it was.
Okay.
So you would they would put it on there, and it would beep, but you had to be one of the 100 people that had one of these machines at the time. These were before fax machines, so they had this. So you would call. So say you called from a payphone. If his sister wasn't home, you would just be greeted with like this machine, and then so there was no way to get picked up. So you would just be at the whim of his father, and then when his father did show up to wherever you were to pick you up, there was no way he could call you to say he was there. I mean, you didn't have phones anyway, but I just stranded. Lots of being stranded. Jeez. And yeah, because he would go, "Do you want to go to the movies?" And then you go, "Okay, yeah, we'll go to the movies." And then he would drive you 30 miles out, and then you'd be like, "This is not good." Because there's no way I can get in touch with this guy again. God. We're gonna be stuck wherever we are, and if we go to contact them, it's a doodle.
Man,
do you ever try and tell your kids those types of stories, and they just don't get it because of the constant communication and how they can always get in touch with you?
Yes,
yeah. When we were kids,
that happens a lot.
We would leave the house and not come back until it got dark.
I tell my son that all the time now, and he's actually jealous because he gets whenever he gets into mischief, I think it's a good thing because his life is so structured. Like he's at school, from sometimes 8 a.m. till 8 p.m. Like it's too much, but it's just the way that it is because of sports and everything, and they only have one gym. So, if he gets into, mischief, light mischief with his friends, I'm always happy about it. But I'll explain to him that we were, feral, that we would just leave the house.
Yeah.
And it wasn't good. I mean, we just lit fires and stuff and made bombs. But, I mean, that's what, we were so bored.
Or after school, because we didn't, you had until 6 o'clock until your parents probably came home from work, and you could do whatever you want.
Well, that's what I'm saying that we and then every kid except for me had a Honda Spree scooter to take them around. My parents wouldn't let me get one because you had to be 15, and by the time you were 15, who wanted a Honda Spree anymore? So, I mean, your friends drove. Like, so when you were 15, like, why the hell do I want a Honda Spree?
Sure.
Yeah, like, someone had a license.
Right.
You weren't pulling up. It's like having a tricycle when everyone's driving BMXs. So, we were just bored. So we would light fires and make bombs and mischief. But that was above mischief. Some of those were felony.
What is the worst amount of trouble you got into? Like, for instance, my friends and I accidentally set someone's lawn on fire. It wasn't like this huge blaze that the firefighters had to come in and put out, but a section of my friend's lawn was charred for about a week and a half, and we had to do some yard work to make up for it.
Did it got in trouble for, or the biggest fire we lit?
The biggest fire you lit?
Well, the biggest fire that I lit was at a park. It didn't rain for like 2 weeks, and we were lighting fires at the park. We were making napalm, and we made napalm. And I told you, napalm doesn't burn out. That's the whole point of napalm.
Right. Yep.
And we would just get bored of it and then like leave. And so we made napalm, and it set the whole park on fire, like the grass in the park on fire, which is the biggest, like, by foot fire I ever set. But the biggest fire ever, I was not involved in. I had bagged out by this time. But I told you, we would screw with this one kid. We would shoot fireworks at his house and stuff, and like light fires at his house. And one time, my friend who's a doctor now in Colorado, him and another kid that I used to light fires with, but I had stopped because they were getting a little out of control, just doused a tree in his yard with gasoline and lit it.
Like a Roman candle.
And lit it. Like, they just put gasoline, like, on the ground around it, but they were so dumb, it, like, caught the tree on fire.
Yeah, it's wood. That happens.
It was this big pine tree, and the kid's garage door opened, and the car just, like, floored out of the garage, and they just left. And then the cops and the firemen came, and they were still hiding across the street in a bush, and it was in the Farmington Observer. It was, like, in the paper that arsonists were going around, like, lighting these fires. And everyone stopped lighting fires at that point. But that was like in the paper and like a big like police scene and
that's a deal. How old? How old were you? How old were they?
Too old, 14.
Old enough to know better.
14, probably like 14 or 15, maybe 15. Like on the verge of
old enough that
manhood.
They might have been tried as adults.
Yeah.
Right on that age.
Well, you think about it. I mean, if that tree fell with gas on it and hit the house, that house is going up. Like, what if like, what if like a kid was home alone and didn't leave the house? I mean, there's very real consequences to that. Yep. But I was not with them for that and the reason is because they started making the bombs that you didn't have to light. Like, it was just a chemical reaction. You would put them in one of those milk jugs, and it would start heating up. And that seemed like I got too scared because that was what made me, it wasn't even the fires. That was what made me stop because you'd be handling this
You're going to
concoction.
blow your hand off.
I mean, blow your face off. Yeah. I mean, go blind. That's the thing is that thing blows up. There's that chemical goes everywhere. I mean, that can blind you, disfigure you. It didn't seem too safe. I'd be like, hey, dude, like, what's going on? I'm like, when do we light it? He's like, oh, you don't light it. And then he would shove it in the mailbox.
You just run.
And then you go, what? Well, how do you know when it's going to blow up? Oh, you got time. Well, you don't know how much time. That's right. He goes, yeah, it starts heating up. And you're like, well, that's not good at all. Like, this seems like a good way to really F yourself up.
Maybe I should remove myself from this situation.
Yeah.
So what is general mischief that you describe now?
Like getting kicked out of a store or something, 4
or 5 of them running around.
Yeah, running around a store.
I saw 5 kids yesterday on the walking on the sort of the side of the road, and I thought because it's school vacation week, and I was like, oh, they're probably up to no good, but they were just doing what they do.
Well, all of you probably had a friend who dropped something off an overpass onto a car.
Yes,
which is like a felony. Yeah,
I do. And he missed, but the police saw him do it and tracked him down. That was one of those things that I was there for when it started, but not there for when it finished.
Yeah,
I saw him take off. I saw the police car lights light up, And then I'm like, I'm not getting involved with this all. He dropped a huge rock from the overpass, missed the car, but there happened to be the genius that he is. He didn't see the police car coming around the bend behind the car. He tried to drop the rock.
So there's two things in my life that the kid the person got in way more trouble with the police than I thought they would. Is when I had a friend got busted for dropping stuff off an overpass. It was like super serious, and he was a kid, and it went on for like a year. And, like, he was going to have to go to juvie and stuff. Like, it was, like, a whole situation. It was really bad. And then when I was an adult in Atlanta, I have a friend who got drunk and they were working on a federal courthouse, and he just picked up a piece of marble and started walking down the street with it. And they arrested him for, like, on federal charges for desecrating. There was, like, all these charges. And they were, like, threatening him with jail time. And, like, they weren't getting off of it. Like, you know how sometimes they'll threaten you with jail time, and then it will just kind of, like, morph into, like, there's no way they're going to put you in jail. They kept insisting on jail time for him.
Yeah.
So, like, he had to keep going to court for it, like, and he was just drunk and just picked up a piece of marble. Like, that's really all he did. And he, like, it wasn't going away. Like, it cost him tens of thousands of dollars to defend himself. And he thought they kept pushing. The prosecutor kept pushing on him going to jail. So those are the two things that, it wasn't really a friend of mine that dropped the thing off the overpass. I never did that as a kid.
I was just thinking about that the other day because the Patriots thing that has come out now, the night of the Snow Bowl,
right?
I got hit square in the windshield with an egg off an overpass in Billerica.
Is that
Route
right?
3. I was driving home I had a hockey game that night in Lowell. I lived in Woburn at the time. I'm driving down Route 3 listening to Gil and Gino, and I drive under this overpass, and there's like an explosion on my windshield. And I just thought, a piece of ice or something that had fallen off the overpass. So next morning, I go out to clean my car off. There are bits of basically scrambled egg everywhere. It's like scraping it off of the paint.
Okay.
Now, did you almost get in an accident?
I didn't almost get in it. It scared the hell out of me.
Oh, sure.
But then, it was just kind of smearing on the windshield. That was the biggest thing.
It was
like
when he's talking, it's bombing down snow, right?
Yeah.
Right. You couldn't see anything anyway.
Right. Smearing it. Mm-hmm. Yes. Embryonic egg.
Chicken embryo.
Yes. What are you doing with that chicken? Not so fast. That's going in my belly. Hey. All right, what's coming up? What happened yesterday?
Well,
so much happened.
I'm glad you asked, Fred.
UConn lost. It's
just when you thought we weren't going to talk about the Red Sox anymore, we're going to talk about the Red Sox some more, and a Patriots legend retires at 10:05 in the morning.
All right. Well, I mean, we really missed out. We could have just spent 4 hours talking about
That's
it.
right.
All right, so we'll be back in just a moment.
BackstageCountry.com, your online home for all things country music. Country music has so many generous artists who always seem to jump in to help those in need. We're spotlighting 5 who lead by example and lend a helping hand to charitable causes. See who made our list when you text GIVE to 45911. Text GIVE to 45911 and read all about it right now on BackstageCountry.com.
If your alarm clock sounds like this is the show for you. Toucher and Hardy, the Sports Hub.
Did you catch a game last night?
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy. Wallach, what's going down?
Well, both the Celtics and Bruins had last night off, Fred, as you know. So we have the team we thought we were going to stop talking about, the Red Sox. And news from camp in Fort Myers yesterday, the full squad has shown up. And in absence of any real impact free agent signings during the offseason, Rafeal Devers now is truly the only star on the team. He's kind of been in the background with Justin Turner on the team last season and Xander Bogaerts to field questions before that. But now, thanks to a 10-year, $313 million contract, he's the guy. and through a translator yesterday spoke his mind on the Sox off season in Fort Myers.
Lo ve y there's some. Everybody knows what we need. You know what we need, and they know what we need. It's just some things that I can't say out loud, but everybody that knows the organization and knows the game know what we need.
Did you express that to them yesterday?
Que se les ha dicho eso a ellos ayer o en estos días. Tano entramos a una conversación y le toqué el tema, pero no le toqué el tema, sí. Yeah, I talked to them. Yeah, you know.
For Devers to say this, it's pretty amazing because, one, he has never done it before, and two, it comes after ownership's FaceTime with Dustin Pedroia, asked him to do something. His manager, Alex Cora, who probably wanted to say a lot of similar things and scream it at a loud voice, walked the fine line, but seemed to have his players back.
Well, two things. It's his opinion, and we got to respect that. And second, he's not afraid to talk to you guys. He talked to you guys for 25 minutes, which is awesome. We had conversations with him before, and he likes the core. He likes, like the age group is his group, right? I mean, he's probably one of the youngest guys still, probably, right, of the group. But he understands where we at. Like I said, I like the fact that he sat here and he talked and he was open about it. He's not a kid anymore. I know he hates to be called the face of the franchise, but call him the carita of the franchise.
Will it impact the decision-making with the roster? Probably not, but if nothing else, interesting to see, and some see it as Devers growing into a needed leadership role.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of Spanish being spoken.
Yes, he does not conduct interviews in English.
No, but then Cora's getting in on the action. It's almost like they're trying to keep something from us.
They're very sneaky.
Call him the carita of the organization?
Yes.
I don't know what that means.
I don't either. I didn't bother.
So there's a lot of, I don't like this. There's a lot of language being spoken I don't understand. How do I know it's not the interpreter? Just making up things. How do I know the interpreter is not a friend of our friend in here?
How great would that be if he's just sitting and going, everything's great. I love the guys. I think we're a really good team. And the interpreter's like, this offseason sucked.
That's what I kept thinking. That like, what if he was like, John Henry's my best friend, and he's like, this is just we're all terrible. This is awful.
It's like when that guy was doing the fake sign language. When Obama went to Mandela's funeral.
That's right. That's right.
Just that would be like if Matt McCarthy was the interpreter. Yeah, garbage.
Carita is face.
All right. Well, I figured I could probably infer that, but
so he's not the face of the franchise, but he's the Spanish word for face of the franchise.
See, that's just insisting upon
Perfect.
it. That's just insisting upon it. They're now they're just rubbing it in our faces that they speak a language that I don't know. They're bragging, and I don't care for that. I mean, I do think it's odd. Look, the team's most likely not going to contend for a playoff spot.
I think you could change that to won't.
Right, and I don't know. There's still pitching available. I don't know why they're not just taking signing a guy that you figure you could have around for 4 years. I mean, if you sign him to a 4-year contract and you get 3 good years out of him, I mean, hopefully you're competing in a couple of those, right?
Yes.
I mean, it's not like a ridiculous. I mean, based on the age of the kids that you're depending on to come up, you would assume that, like, it's not ridiculous to sign a pitcher to a 4 or 5 year contract, 6-year contract, because in some of those quality years, you're going to be competing, you would hope.
It's going to be at least 2 or 3 years before any of those minor league arms get here, and then another 2 or 3 before they're good.
So it's not.
Yeah, that's the thing. You have to sign a guy to bridge the gap.
And they have plenty of money. I mean, that's the thing, is that they're in rarefied air, that they're one of the few teams that can cover up all this crap with money. But the problem is, I don't recall ever rooting for a baseball team that before everyone, like, right at the beginning of spring training, was already conceding that the season was over. Like, I mean, in fairness, I'm a Cardinal fan, which doesn't happen very often. But even like the crappy Tiger teams that I follow,
usually you make it to opening day at least before everybody gives up,
or certainly like at least June. Before there's just this like. it's usually people hand-wringing and everything. I mean, I know that they're tens of millions of dollars away from the luxury tax, but it's not like they're the A's, you know? Like Devers makes money. I mean, the idea that they're just completely punting on this whole season is not good. And I guess that's, if anything was going to put pressure on ownership, I suppose that's what would do it, is because if you own the property and the people that you're paying that much money to are already conceding that the season's over. Now, Trevor Story is not.
No, but he's not. Trevor Story, just talk to him. Trevor Story's like, we got a bunch of good guys here. You watch.
But when your best player is saying that we're not competing and it's not even March, I guess that would be motivation to do something.
That's the important thing to remember here, because Boston, and rightfully so, gets the reputation of being such a negative town. You know, it's not the players, it's all the media and the fans. They're the ones that are negative. Well, no. The players that used to play for this team and the players that currently play for this team.
Yeah, the ex-players are speaking up too. I mean, Sam Kennedy said it the other day. Dustin Pedroia has been texting them going, what are you guys doing? Like, spend some money.
Yeah.
Jonathan Papelbon went on a podcast yesterday and said the same thing. He's like, why aren't they going out and getting Jordan Montgomery again? Like, what's the problem here? I mean, Devers is starting that 10-year contract this year.
That's right.
Right? And he's already pissed off. Like, what are we doing?
Well, and so out of all the things, first of all, the idea that the media is any more negative than the fan base, I mean, just read social media. The active social media members of the fan base are psychopaths. So, I mean, if you think it's solely a media creation, then meet the audience that the media is catering to. It's literally, in some instances, psychopathic.
Yes.
So I don't think that the media is the people that are necessarily responsible for the attitude of the nation. It's a chicken or egg situation. Go ahead.
There is a positive to this, though, Fred, and one I hadn't considered. If you're the Red Sox, people now absolutely pay attention to that Netflix documentary, the in-season documentary. You have players that are pissed off that will speak to the cameras. You have, the media coverage that will be every day now. The Red Sox are going to be focused on every day because they are actively not competing and people are angry about it. Again, I don't think this is going to change anything. I think ownership has kind of cemented themselves in one particular corner, but at least there won't be apathy, which is the real scary thing.
It's going to be completely apathetic, John. If that Netflix thing is, first of all, I forgot about it, and second of all, that's dead in the water. No, there's going to be apathy. This is neat. The Red Sox are doing something. And people are talking about it. This is. They haven't even played a spring training game.
That's Friday. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, this is over. No. I can assure you, this is not going to be a team that people are talking about.
Devers mentioned the Netflix thing yesterday, where he's asked about the Netflix thing yesterday. Asked who would be starring in the Netflix documentary. He said, "Not me."
Yeah.
Nobody wants to be on Netflix as a losing team. That's a bad look. Everybody in the organization wants to win, but they, meaning the front office, need to make an adjustment to help us players be in a better position to win.
Yeah.
That is going to be some great TV when they're, 70 they win 70 games this year, and it's all documented for the national television audience.
I think you're all going to be very disappointed by how a team reacts over 162 games about losing. I think that sense of apathy and resignation that will take over this team in May is going
May?
to...
I don't think we make it to Memorial
It's already
Day.
started, but what I'm saying is that if it's like...
Once it is apparent that they are no longer a playoff contender.
I mean, if you're around a traveled baseball team that's playing 40 games, I mean, the highs are not so high and the lows are not so low. I mean, there's 162 games, and if you're losing consistently, especially, it's more of a dull pain than it is these severe.
That's a very good way of putting it. One quick thing, because I know we're going to go to break soon. Jeff Passan on ESPN wrote yesterday, Nashville and Salt Lake City are the frontrunners to get franchises if and when Major League Baseball expands to 32 teams. And I tell you that to tell you this. There's a story up in Salt Lake City that there is a bill that is about to be passed in the Salt Lake City legislature that would call for at least $900 million in public funding to get a ballpark built in Salt Lake City.
Right.
For the team.
I guess Nashville's done. First of all, none of this is happening anytime soon, but I guess Nashville's, it's a done deal. And I would be very surprised if Salt Lake City, regardless of public funding, gets a team. I think that's. I think the reason Passing came out with it is because people in Salt Lake City either got to him or Major League Baseball is trying to prod another town to get going. Because I can't imagine Salt Lake City gets a baseball team. And by the way, Vegas doesn't want it. Vegas, and it's not
that A's deal is falling apart.
The mayor of Las Vegas, who's absolutely nuts, but said during Super Bowl week when the world media is there, they should go back to Orange County.
But the people don't want it. Like I heard business owners talking about it, and like just no one wants them. They don't want that owner. They don't want the team. I told you. It's too much. It's too much for that town. It's too many games. It's not enough.
Well, what is the point? I mean, if it's the same owner and he's still not going to spend on the team, and you're going to put a lousy product on the field, doesn't matter what market you land in.
Yeah, they don't want it. Yeah, I mean, to go to Montreal, maybe people get nostalgic. All right, we'll be back in just a moment. Here are the headlines. Slater retired.
BackstageCountry.com, your online home for all things country music. Award-winning movies often have incredible soundtracks, and many of those have gone on to become country gold. We've picked our top 5 country songs that have been nominated for an Oscar. Text Oscar to 45911 to see if your favorite made the list on BackstageCountry.com. Text Oscar to 45911 and we'll send the link straight to your phone.
The Sports Hub.
On the air, online, on the air. This is how Boston sports fans start their day. Toucher and Hardy on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Hey, this hour of Toucher and Hardy is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. John Wallach.
Yesterday morning, Fred, 5 minutes after this show ended, a Patriots legend announced his retirement after 16 NFL seasons.
Engulfed by Boston and the Chargers defensively. Now you've got some lay pushing and shoving. A guy gets into it with the nicest guy in the NFL and about the nicest guy anywhere, Matthew Slater.
Matthew's like, hey, take your hands off me, buddy.
Stealing.
Well, that's grand theft right there.
That's grand theft by Scott Zolak. Stealing yours truly.
That's awful. Well, again, that was a 6-0 game.
We were told, Dan was told by our program director not to talk about the dog attack that Scott got into. I have no idea why.
Okay.
But
let's move on then. I don't want to get anyone in trouble.
Oh, well, I mean, it's tantamount to, I mean, how you could divulge such information when it was divulged
and if
to us.
And if that happened to me, do you think the same rules would apply?
Oh, if it happened to me, no, there would be no discussion whatsoever. I mean, I was out with a cancer scare, and they had great fun with it. But, I mean, Lord knows we shouldn't be talking about
that. If that happened to me, you guys would make Sounders, the midday show, especially Zolak, would never let me hear the end of it.
If you got attacked by the dog, I wouldn't. I don't think I'd talk about it that much. I think Zolak would talk about it far, far more than I would talk about
that's
it.
my point. No, I understand. No.
Because you mentioned me, and I'm like, that. I wouldn't be the one I'd be worried about.
No. It would be Zolak. Never. He'd like barking sounds when I walked in the studio. That's what he would do to me.
When your ear thing was going on, we waited until you had healed up to make fun of you.
Yes, that's right. And Hardy was great, calling me tumor juice. That was good.
Yeah, well, that was really good. Thank you for saying that was Hardy and not me.
Oh, it was definitely not you. No, that was Hardy.
That was not me. But I'll say this, and we'll talk about it later this morning. First of all, I like that you're upset that it was 10:05, as if it would have changed our show in any way.
No, it's just another brick in the wall. That's all.
I understand what you're saying. I mean, we did get Belichick and Mayo during our show.
That's true, and it's about damn time we got one.
I'll take that
over.
I'll take over Slater retiring. But I will tell you that nothing speaks more of the popularity of the NFL and how just insanely focused on it is now, that there were numerous on the radio yesterday national people, including JT the Brick, saying that Slater should be in the Hall of Fame.
Okay, let's talk about that. He is a 10-time Pro Bowler, a 3-time Super Bowl champion, and as many were quick to tell us on social media, a great guy. Does he deserve to be in the Hall of Fame? I have no idea, and if you're a fan, neither do you. He always seemed to be the first guy down the field to get to the punt returner, but you had people in the media and other teams saying they had to scheme their entire special teams game plan to stop him. Hold on, Ryan, one thing. There are 4 special teams players, 4 specialists in the Hall of Fame right now. Kickers Morton Anderson and Jan Stenerud, punter Ray Guy, and as of 2 weeks ago, kick returner Devin Hester. That's it.
You know how big the NFL is, Fred? Steve Tasker is trending because of Matthew Slater's retirement.
But Tasker
because
only
people
a
aren't saying,
Pro
you
Bowler.
Can't put him in the Hall of Fame until you put Steve Tasker into the Hall of Fame.
Hey, look at the numbers. Tasker, 7-time Pro Bowler, no-time All-Pro. Slater, 10-time Pro Bowler, 2-time All-Pro. Clearly a difference. One goes in, one doesn't.
All right, so if they want to put him in the Hall of Fame, it's fine. The Football Hall of Fame is idiotic. If you put me in Canton, I wouldn't know 75% of the people that are in the Hall of Fame, and nor would most. No one cared about football until the 70s. So, get out of here with the... anyone that played pre-1975, I question anyone knowing. And then there's
the line changed in there. At Super Bowl III is when people started watching.
Yeah, but my parents were in Pittsburgh in like 72, and there were like 5 people at games. 3 bricks shy of a load was coming out. The Cowboys and the Steelers. That's when I understand the importance of Super Bowl III. But that would be like the USFL playing the NFL. You know what I'm saying? But people sleep on Kansas City. That was the nail in the coffin, the Kansas City victory. Mm-hmm. But the Cowboys, you would agree, the Cowboys and the Steelers are really the ones
in the early 70s,
late mid 70s.
Yeah,
more.
Lynn Swann and Terry Bradshaw against Roger Staubach, Tony Dorsett.
Right. But regardless. If they want to put him in the Hall of Fame, fine. But Slater was listed as a wide receiver, and he wasn't good enough to play wide receiver. So he was the best at a position on a 53-man roster, the 45th through 53rd guys. Your kicker is far more important than your gunner. Your punter is far more important than your gunner. And there's only 2 kickers and a punter in the Hall of Fame. Nowadays, probably not, but your kick returner used to be far more important, probably not anymore.
How many career receptions for Matthew Slater?
How many?
Yep.
5.
Brian, you want to guess?
I'm looking at it right now.
Oh, okay. The answer is 1. 1 career reception
8
for 46
targets,
yards.
1 catch.
And he had, 191 tackles in 239 career games.
If he was good at defense, he would have played defense, and if he was good at offense, he would have played offense, and if he was good at kicking, he would have kicked, and if he would have punted, he would have been punting. No one has ever in the history of football said, you know what, keep this guy off the field. We need him as a gunner. Like he'll get hurt. Like if you put him at receiver, he'll get hurt. If you put him at outside linebacker, he'll get hurt. We need him on the kick return team. Never has that ever been stated in the history of the NFL. So, but obviously, nationally, people very much were fans of watching him run down the field. When was the last time there was a kick return?
How many times the game kind of got phased out?
Yeah, his position's been obsolete for the last handful of years.
Yeah.
Not a punt return. Now, punt return, he was always the first guy down there. First ballot Patriot Hall of Famer. Matthew Slater. Does he belong in the Pro Football Hall of Fame? I have no idea.
All right. So we'll be back in just a moment.
BackstageCountry.com, your online home for all things country music. Wondering who made our list of the top 5 all-time queens of country music? Did Carrie Underwood make the cut? Find out now when you text Queens to 45911 and scroll through the list on BackstageCountry.com. Text Queens to 45911 to see the talented artists who rounded out our top 5 list.
Toucher, Hardy.
You get used to sitting back and letting Daddy drive the car.
98.5 The Sports Hub.
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy. Wallach, what do you got?
Well, we talked about Jayson Tatum and where he sees himself in the standing in the NBA. Celtics are back at work tomorrow night in Chicago as they come back from the All-Star break. And Tatum is the story, at least for now. He just started for the Eastern Conference in the All-Star game. It's his fourth straight year as a starter. Can he eventually become the best player in the NBA or the face of the league? He said yes in Indianapolis Saturday and didn't back down. In fact, he doubled down when he talked to ESPN yesterday.
Who do you think's the best player in the NBA right now?
Myself.
Have you always had that kind of confidence? Because I asked you that question a year ago and you said it was Giannis. So what's given you that confidence?
I got a lot of respect for a lot of guys in the league.
Yeah.
Giannis for sure. Jokic obviously just won. Embiid, guys that won MVPs. And the list goes on. The league is in a great place. I truly do believe every night I step on the floor, I'm the best player.
All right.
Well, that's just insane.
I love the music. I mean, we always talk about the music. The music is,
he's
fire.
He's out of line. I mean, how dare he?
Best player on the best team in the NBA right now. But he said it himself in Indianapolis. He's never going to get taken seriously unless he wins a championship. And so that's what he said in Indianapolis. You know, if we win a title, I'll have something to say about that.
If they win a title, he will be considered one of the. Yeah, he's top. What do you think? Top 5 now?
Top 5 through 7, somewhere in there,
right,
depending upon how you feel about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and like that.
Well,
but again,
Gilgeous-Alexander is lots of MVP hype around him.
Yes. For this year, because Oklahoma City is a very good team. But, you know, Giannis, Doncic, and Embiid are ahead of Tatum. You know, Steph Curry, probably ahead of Tatum at this point, but not many others.
Yeah. So they win a title, then you're talking about him as being a Hall of Fame player. It's certainly his number will already been retired. As soon as he was drafted, his number was retired for the Celtics organization.
That's how you had him. You had him as his number being retired immediately.
I did not think. I thought that he was overdrafted.
Yes,
I absolutely did. He didn't stand out at Duke. Even Danny Ainge himself said he's not an elite athlete in terms of like the measurables and in terms of against other like elite NBA players. And he is. There's no one who's more surprised by Jayson Tatum's dominance than I am, and I am truly humbled.
Yes.
Truly humble.
I can see that.
To say that's the case. I can only come to you with hand in hand, John. And please excuse me for my bad take.
Fred, many years from now, you will be sitting with your grandchildren on your knee, bouncing them and telling them stories about Jayson Tatum's career.
Yeah.
And I'll be reading them from the guy that was apoplectic that I said that Jayson Tatum will not be the face of the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
Because Jayson Tatum is not exciting enough to be the face of the NBA. He's not. He's just not going to be. He's not. It's not going to happen. And by the way, he doesn't. When people talk about the NBA, they don't talk about Jayson Tatum. Like if you watch any shows nationally or listen to any radio nationally, sports talk radio, they don't. It's like when they're talking about the NBA, they don't talk about Jayson Tatum. They talk about the Celtics, which is a good thing if you're a Celtics fan. They're not just insisting on one player. But Tatum's name isn't like being thrown around like All-Star Weekend. It wasn't the Jayson Tatum show.
Yes,
I mean
that's true.
He wasn't a storyline during the All-Star Weekend. Maybe he could be in one of them Jamaroo contests. It's gotten Jaylen Brown's name out there. I mean that's in his historic dunk contest. Boy, people are bitching about that All-Star game. Hachi Machi.
And the best part was people were bitching about it last year.
I know.
Tatum scored 55. He was voted the MVP, and everyone after the game, fans, we came on the air the next day, and even the coaches are like, boy, that was non-competitive. That sucked. And the run-up to the game on Sunday was last year was really bad. It really sucked. We have to improve it. And it got worse. So it was worse this year than last year.
My advice would be just not to watch it. Just don't watch it. There's no reason to watch it. It doesn't mean anything. And when I was a kid, I liked the All-Star game But if you took it away, it wasn't like this massive part of my life. It was on a non-football weekend.
But see, I don't even remember the All-Star game meaning as much. Like the dunk contest on Saturday night and the three-point contest, that was what I used to love to watch.
It was the dunk contest.
The dunk contest,
right.
well,
Yeah.
I mean, that's what cemented Jordan as Jordan, was that dunk contest that he shouldn't have won. Was it the second one against Neek that he shouldn't have won?
I think it was
the one in Chicago.
Yeah, I think
he shouldn't have won that
well,
one.
in Chicago.
Dominique dominated that. I used to have that on tape, and it used to infuriate me, the injustice of it when I was a child. I had it on Betamax. I had taped it off the TV, and it used to infuriate me because Neek had one where he was standing under the basket, and he tomahawked it, and they were unimpressed, and I'm like, that's better than anything. When Jordan did it from the free throw line, he didn't even take off from the free throw line. He was a good step inside from the free throw line.
There was one where
my son can dunk.
There was one.
Do you know that my son, who's 6'1" probably, can take a volleyball like it's no big deal and dunk it. So he with the right bounce he could dunk a basketball. It doesn't even. Who cares anymore? It used to be hard. It used to be hard to dunk. My son can dunk. All right, enough of this. Seriously, he plays at a small school. There's 8 kids on the team that can dunk. I mean, really. As soon as my son could do it, I'm like, I don't care anymore.
How tall is he now?
6'1", probably.
That's like the evolution of the human being. Because I went to a high school with 2,500 kids, and we had 2 guys who could dunk. And one of them played in the NBA.
Oh, really?
Who Anthony Parker.
You had Anthony Parker in high school. Wow.
Anthony and Candace both went to my high school.
Candace Parker.
Candace Parker.
She was behind me. I was. Anthony and I were in the same class, I think.
All right. No commercials here, just the headline.